Hello, and this podcast isn't for everyone, but if you run a lawn care business, and sometimes whether you're doing things the right way or the hard way, then you're in a great place. We are two business owners who choose to sit down around the same table, share our mistakes, challenges, and keep learning. This is our journey to 1 million. It's not just in numbers, but it's in confidence, clarity, and freedom. And away we go, Martin. Over to you.
Well, I was just going to say good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Martin. I'm well.
Jolly good.
Been a bit of a frost here this morning. What about you?
We're frost-free currently.
Yeah.
It looks like it's set to be a nice day today, so fingers crossed.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about today, John? We're picking a couple of topics.
Yeah. We've had a couple of questions in as well. So what we're going to do then, Martin?
Should we go for cash flow first?
Cash flow? Yes, yeah, please. I'd like some of that.
Yeah, wouldn't we all? So do you have problems with cash flow, John? What do you do to mitigate them?
Cash flow, we have done in the past, and it's something that I try and keep a big eye on. When you talk to people, cash is king, or not cash is king, cash flow is king. That's the bit that keeps you awake at night. So in our business, we have people that prepay us, and you think that's great, but actually that causes another problem at the end of the year when you've spent it and you've still got some of the year left. So actually even the prepayments, managing those is important. One of the things that we've found that's helped us, and I know it sounds daft because you're in business and people think, well, don't you just do that? But is actually sort of budgeting through that sort of cash flow and keeping sort of saving pots. And you know, certainly with the cost of doing business is going up, you know, national insurance, VAT, they're absolute killers when those come in. So if you're not putting something on one side, they really do hurt.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're in the fortunate position where you can have a number of bank accounts that you can sort of squirrel money away to each month or each week even, it's definitely a good idea, because you're right, when those bills come round, sometimes you can be scrambling to get them paid if you've taken your eye off the ball.
Yeah, but
and they only get bigger, don't they?
What, the pots or the bills?
The bills. Yeah,
the bills do get bigger. You know, they're a killer. You know, that PAYE, the VAT. I memean, they're big costs. It's interesting because I've been doing, you know, the pot saving for a number of years, and it's been a great sort of source of comfort and disappointment when you have to take the money out of the big pot to put it back into the current account to pay the bills. And I always find that a sort of a traumatic period, because you think you've not done a great job, but you have, because that's just the money going round. But interestingly, I think this year, as the listeners know, we're part of a lawn care network and a conference, and one of the speakers there was talking about profit first, and that was a bigger extension of pots. So I'm still with a traditional bank. I'm not with a challenger bank, but actually my traditional bank has actually got me those pots set up.
Should we just explain that sort of discipline of doing that? If I go for it, John, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but essentially, if you know what your so for example, with my VAT, I know that my VAT is roughly about 12.5-13% of my revenue. Once you've collected it in and taken off what you've paid out, so 13.5% of my revenue goes into a pot to pay VAT, and then when the VAT bill comes round, it might be a little bit under, a little bit over, and I just make that up with what's around. But the majority of the money is there, and you can do that with every part of your bill. So you do that with your profit. So if you know what your profit is, and you should know what your profit is, you put that aside. You do the same with your your overheads and put that aside. So you've always got that money to pay for those bills, and then you truly know what's available. Because if I've been in a position before, John, where I've used my bank account to tell me if I've got the money or not, and we all know that's a slippery slope. So if you think your account's looking healthy, you go out, buy a piece of machinery, and then you've got another bill that you'd forgotten about coming out next week.
Yeah.
You can get in a sticky situation.
Yeah.
So best to have that discipline and manage it. Do you think that, have I summed that up about right, John?
I think you have, and I've learned something from that, Martin. So that's how I tackled that. I know there's the profit first sort of theory, which I've looked at but didn't quite do it. How I sort of tackled my pots is I looked at all of my expenses and then did the Pareto's rule and just made sure that the top 80% I've got covered off by going into those different pots. And how I've done it is I've actually just spread out the payments during the week, and I've just done it as an automatic sort of standing order sort of transfer from one of my incoming account to those smaller accounts. So it happens on different days during the whole week, just to sort of even out the sort of the exposure to big ones going out. But it's certainly very helpful. But I must admit that the feeling of that bill's come in, it's a fertiliser bill. I'll take it out of that profit first sort of pot if we're going to talk about it like that. I've still found that difficult. And I'm actually sort of, if I could, I've got the principles. I just need to learn how to take it out of the pot to pay the bill. So there we go.
The discipline part. So that's difficult, right? Because you've got lots of bills coming in, and you've got people screaming at you, and maybe, and you've also got an amount of debtors, I would imagine, as well. People who owe you money.
Yeah.
And they don't always coincide. The stars don't always align so that the debtors have paid you their money so you can pay your bills. So you're having to manage that difference between those two sides of the business. So it's not easy. And I can't sit here on high and say that I'm perfect at this. I've used the credit cards before. Definitely to get me out of a hole, but I know that when you do have that money put aside and you pay that bill off, although it's not a nice feeling that you just spent all that money out, it's a nice feeling that you can carry on as normal from that point again, and you haven't got to try and find that money elsewhere. So I think it's definitely worth doing.
Yeah, sorry, Martin. I agree, and it's nice to know that although mentally John's struggling to take it out of that pot to put it back into his main account, actually it's nice to know it's there. And actually, there's a big comfort. Can I just interrupt the podcast for a little bit, Martin?
Is that you got to let the dogs out?
I've got it. No, I've not. But I took an awful lot of stick for people that watched the podcast that my office was a mess. So it's still tidy. But can I just introduce the virtual wall behind me and the round glow, which is the sunshine, the morning sunrise coming up over the yard arm on my virtual wall. How nice do you think that looks?
I know you did mention that last week, and I think actually it's glorious to see. Better that than the rain, John. Yeah,
but it also reflects on my forehead, which is a bit off-putting for me watching it. So anyway, back to the real meaty stuff of how we can let people understand our challenges to a million, and let's see if we can get them there before us. That'll be a great achievement, wouldn't it?
I touched on debtors, and I think that's something that's challenging us at the moment. It's certainly something that's really annoying me at the moment, and I'm thinking about I am looking at different ways of doing it. So part of cash flow, if someone owes you money, you need to get that money in ASAP. And I know lots of people have different ways of getting that money in and different systems. I think I'm going to move across to getting people's credit card details, when they join us now, because it's not a huge amount of money in the big scheme of things, but I think I'm owed $4,000 over 21 days, and we've got 7-day terms, and it just annoys the hell out of me that we go out and do this work for people and they can't bother to pay. And that has an impact. Like I said, if you've got bills coming in, you've got to pay those bills. You've got to pay the wages. And if they're not paying you, how are you going to pay those? So I think having a really good collection system so that you reduce your debtor days is one of the key parts of cash flow. And it's certainly something I'm going to introduce in the next, certainly in the next couple of months, I think, once I've got my head around exactly what I do. I know there's others that already do that, and they won't take on customers without the credit card details. I think it's a smart move.
Yeah.
Why should we be, the ones that suffer?
Yeah. And that's interesting, actually, because we don't do credit card sort of before the customer becomes a customer. Our payment types are still, they do us by bank transfer, by a payment link, but actually maybe asking them for a credit card details which we can set up on a Stripe account just in case we need it could be quite an interesting sort of process. What we actually found helped, I mean, debtor control is the elephant that's in the room, isn't it? It's the bit that we all know that we have to do, but the bit that we probably don't like doing, because a lot of people might be owner drivers of their business. They might not be bigger business where they have a separate person or an outsourcing people that do the debtor control. So I think for me, the game changer for us, I remember 15 years ago, one of our technicians, he used to come in of a Tuesday afternoon and sort of update the payments and then ring a few people up. But it was never as good as the system that we have now, which is basically our CRM records all of the payments that come in. If they come in via Stripe, that's all done automatically. There's a big drop off now between payments that are made sort of manually. But basically twice a week we actually have a structure of emails that go out to follow those up. And the game changer for us, am I okay to carry on?
Yeah.
I'm not boring you, am I?
No.
No. The game changer for us actually came from one of our listeners who said, our payment days are, in my world, our payment days are 14 days. I felt that was fair. But actually, before that 14 days comes up, at 10 days, we send out a letter that says your payment is becoming due. And actually, what that took out of that whole communication process is the phone call that says, goes like this: you've sent me a snotty letter and I hate you, blah, blah, blah. Actually, has taken all of that out because you've actually said, well, actually, read it again, please, sir, because the email says your payment is becoming due. And it's just a polite reminder. And that was a massive game changer for us.
See, I think like last year we put on a lot of growth. This year we're expected to put on a lot of growth, and as you know, this is our journey to 1 million, right? So that's what I'm aiming for this year. But I've definitely seen with that growth, we've seen more debtors, and that's probably to be expected. But what happened last year, I think we had a couple of grand in overdue debt by the end of the year, which we wrote off. And this year, I said, right, Heather, we're going to be on it completely. We've got to chase this money before it gets to 8 days or whatever. But now, Heather is spending 4 or 5 hours every week chasing money, and I'm thinking the cost of that is huge. We still do the letters from the CRM, but they don't. They have some effect, but it's almost like people need mothering to get them to pay their bills, and it's just not viable. It's not feasible. It shouldn't be something. You don't get Virgin or British Gas or anything like that doing that, do they? It's all on direct debits. It's all tied up. It's like you've asked for a service, you got to pay for it. Yeah. So that's what I think we're going to do in the next couple of months.
So in our podcast land then, Martin, what's the summary of that for our listener who's just starting out, getting to 1 million? What's our summary for those guys?
Well, cash flow is king, and you're gonna need it. You're gonna need it to expand. You're gonna need it to pay your bills. You're gonna, you don't want to get in trouble. The chances are you're gonna have times when things are tight. Every business does, but you need to foresee those. You need to plan. Is that the doggy?
That's the dog.
It wasn't you barking.
No,
was it, John?
wasn't me barking. Hang on, listener.
That's John's off, so it's just me. Sorry, folks. So yeah,
Flint's joined the podcast, everybody.
Hello, Flint. So I think you're always going to have those times, but plan, and if you need additional funding, speak to funders well before you need that funding. Don't make it a knee-jerk reaction. Plan for those times. So, I mean, for us, it's middle of summer. We have low cash flow, and middle of winter. That's when we're least busy. Hello? John, this is very professional.
I know.
I'm sure people are going to be going, well, we're going to have to put these two in for an award. And their dogs. So, yeah, I would definitely say that cash flow is king. I think you've got to be disciplined with the way that you treat your money. I think you have to manage your peaks and troughs. But the main one is discipline. And I think one of the things I do have I have what I call a hybrid spreadsheet. You'd like this, John? I've got a spreadsheet for a change.
Wow.
And on that I have revenue in, so cash in, and this is all including VAT because it's a cash spreadsheet. So I have revenue in for the month, I have all my costs out for the month, and that all comes off the bank account. And then at the bottom I have the drawings and any financed buy for the business. So at the bottom after that I get a true reflection of what is actually been made or lost by the business in any one period of time. And I think, things like that, if anyone wants a copy of that, then I'm quite happy to send it. It's quite easy to do, but
yeah,
that for me is a game changer. And I think my summary has probably been quite long, John. So
I was going to say, I'm going to summarise your summary, Martin, if that's all right, because
oh dear.
But yes, I was going to say cash flow is king. From all the great stuff that you talked about, cash flow is king. It's the thing that keeps you awake at night if it's poor. I think definitely having you talked to me months ago about an operating rhythm, and so definitely having that operating rhythm for how you collect cash and that consistency. I actually think that people learn the fact that they're going to get a letter if they don't sort of pay it quite quickly. One of my suppliers, I've worked with them for 20 years, but I know when that invoice comes in for that monthly sort of advert in that thing, I actually schedule the payment on that day, because I know that 2 days after it's been due, she's on the phone, and she's a lovely lady, but I don't want to mess with her. So actually I just put that money, I don't pay it. Well, I do pay it, but I just schedule the payment date, and so I think that operating rhythm, I think people learn that about you. And the bit that I'm going to look into and talk about with my team is actually, do we ask for a credit card number that we put into a payment processor as a backup for if they don't pay?
Yeah, well, I think you can go one step further than that, and I think you can actually just say, like, you need to pay by credit card. We need to have your credit card details to draw the money. But the alternative is we put prices up to cover our bad debt.
Yeah.
Which do you prefer?
Yeah.
If you've got every intention of being honest and paying us, then it's not a problem, is it?
Yeah. Okay, blimey, I feel like I've got some more work to do on my desk for this week now, Martin. Thank you. You've passed the monkey there.
What are we moving on to now?
I don't know. What's been happening in your world this week?
I was
apart from meningitis.
Oh yeah, there's a slight bit of that. But what's been on my training videos? We've got some new machinery, some new Elliott scarifiers. So I just did a quick film and training video on that yesterday. So that can be shared with the team. I think I'm going to do the same with our software, our Real Green Mobile. So I'm going to do a bit with that as well. I've got a company day coming up this Friday. So our company day is something we do once a quarter, where we get together as a team have a bit of, I think I might have mentioned this before, we have a bit of fun, go out for something to eat. We usually have an activity, but we also discuss how we're doing in our figures. We're very transparent. We show all our figures to the team, show where we're doing well, where we're not doing so well, and we'll have a toolbox talk, little bits of training, some ideas about the months and weeks ahead. So we've got that on Friday. So that takes quite a bit of time and planning, presentations, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's good. We call those week 10 meetings. So I think that's right. A bit less more boring than the company day. That sounds a lot more exciting, doesn't it? But
well, I think it's part of our culture. It's become part of our culture as well. All the guys look forward to it because they know they're going to have some fun. My mentor hates it because I always ask him to do something interesting and fun, and he hates the fun word. But actually, we do have fun. We have a laugh.
Yeah.
Right? As a team, we get together and we have a giggle, and it's like, we're people. We're not machines. So there's a serious side to it, but there's also a right. Let's let whatever hair you've got down and go for it.
And I think what's interesting out of that is the important bit is to celebrate what you have done, because I think in the world that we live in, probably at the helm of the of the ship, we're often thinking about the bits that we haven't done, because they're the bits that are playing on our mind. But actually, if you make a note during that sort of period of things that you have done, because you've done them, but it's easy to forget. And actually, you should remind yourself and the team of the great stuff that you've done, because you're then on to sort of simplification, refinement and improvement again, aren't you? But you've forgotten the big leap that you made by actually doing something.
You're very right, John, and I'm glad you've mentioned that, because that is very, very true. I think it's all to I can be so in tune with what needs to happen in the next 8 to 12 weeks over our renovation period, where we're all going to be super busy, that sometimes you forget just what the guys and the team are doing day in, day out, and they're doing it with your best interests at heart, and you just think, like, hold on a second, you're just about to tell them they've got to do this, that and the other, and and that as a team this is what we need to achieve, and actually, a thank you doesn't go amiss.
Yeah,
I know we're paying, as business leaders we're paying them, but that's not, this is what we were saying last week, it's about valuing your team. If I put myself in their position, and if I went to work for someone and all they told me about is what I wasn't doing and what I need to do, then how would I feel? I think I'd stick my fingers up at them.
Yeah.
And that's not to say I always get it right. Sometimes you miss it, but that's definitely the starting point.
Yeah.
So good point, well made, John. That's another one.
Thank you. List. Well, I've thrown my notes away from last week with my 5-bar gate, so I'll take the credit where credit is due. So yeah.
Please do.
Yeah,
you've done well.
So thank you, Martin. That's a pleasure.
What are we going to talk about now?
Well, I can tell you about my day yesterday if you wish.
Go on then. I go on.
Well, I went out of the borough, and yes. I went.
Blimey.
I know.
Objections.
And I went across to Tiller's Turf, and
wow.
Yeah, I had I didn't have a full tour because they've got something like 20,000 acres of cultivated turf, but it was amazing to see. I met two really interesting guys there, Simon and Richard, and we was having a chat about the summer festival. I saw a mower that I will not be buying. This mower
is it slightly expensive?
Well, I think it would be expensive. It just won't go through a 28-inch gate for me. The cutting width is 16.2 metres, and I think the 0.2 metre made all the difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was an amazing sort of opportunity to go and see that. Okay. So there, that was.
What was the purpose of going there? Was it just Were you researching anything?
Could this be a plug for the UK Lawn Association Summer Festival?
It could be.
Yeah. Shall we do that then? So yeah, we went there to. We'd been invited by, or it had been suggested that we talk to these guys, and we have done, and they were really positive and receptive. And so Kate and I, who's the secretary of the Lawn Care Association, went across to see the facilities and how it would work and what we'd need to do to get it organised. So the Summer Festival Day is a technician's day really. So it's priced as being budget to get people along, and we're going to have a sponsors village, and
so it's definitely happening at Tiller's Turf.
Yeah.
What date?
That's a good question, Martin. I'm going to say it's the 15th of July, but it's in July.
But it might not be.
Watch out!
It's the 12th of December, but it might not be.
It won't be the 12th of December. I think it is Tuesday the 15th of July. If that's yeah.
Okay. Great. Fantastic.
So, but watch out for details on that. But yeah, no, that was a great day to go and see them.
Glad to hear it.
So yes.
So we have a plethora of subjects that listeners have been asking us about. How do you fancy talking about staff wages?
I can talk about that.
Okay.
So the question I think we've been asked is staff wages, what should you pay? Is it just pay, benefits and everything else? So that's an interesting one, because I was greeted on Monday morning with I've got a problem, and I've been offered more money by somebody else. So that sent me into default world. So it's good that this question came in, because it's sort of on the top of my on the top of my sort of thought process. So we are really sad to believe, just in case he's listening, we are really sad that our colleague is leaving us. He was a great contributor to the team, and he was good fun and did a good job. So I wish him well, but we weren't able to match what he says that he's been offered. And I think it's also important that you have to be fair with pay. So that's one of the challenges of running a business. But interestingly,
it is, and can I just say on that fairness, because I've been in situations where through circumstance rather than anything else, wages haven't been fair, but your hands are tied, and a couple of team members chatted about stuff, and it caused some difficulties, and it's you feel you don't feel great about that. So, yeah. But you're right, it does have to be fair.
Yes, yeah. And actually what it also forced me to do is, because as a business in our rewards package, many years ago we used to try and incentivise our staff, but our staff were part-timers. This is in our part-time world, Martin. Can you remember that when we talked about how we grew and we used part-time staff?
Yeah.
And they were lifestylers, so they were semi-retired. They didn't need the money. The money wasn't the motivator for them. It was about keeping active. It was about the social side. It was about meeting people. Money was not one of their Maslow's hierarchy of needs sort of factors, sort of right at the top.
Can I interject just there, John? I don't think it's changed. In my personal opinion, I think it's an important part, but it's not the.
Yeah. So I've lost my train of thought.
I'm
there,
sorry,
Martin.
John. That's entirely my fault. You were talking about part timers and the fact that money wasn't the important part.
That's right. Thank you, Martin. You kept me on track. So we did away with sort of on target earnings, because there was no. What we actually decided as the few people we were then was that actually let's just put it into the annual sort of package and do it that way, which is what we've done. But actually I think as we've grown and want to grow more, and actually I think we've got the systems that can help people grow is to do an incentive and an on-target earnings package. So that was on my list of things to do. Well, I'd done it, I just hadn't sort of published it to people because we do pay reviews this month basically. Yeah. So that's where we are, and it sort of forced my hand in sort of working that out more. And so for us in our world this year, we're going for an incentive program, which our tracker that we talked again, the canvas plan is going great guns now. So we still got the momentum going on that. So that's doing well. The guys are getting confidence. They're enjoying it. That's all good ticks. It's nice and simple. So that's another sort of good tick for them. It's simple to do and understand. And then we're looking at an on-target earning. So I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to have a chat to AI, just to see if it could do. It's my new best friend, Martin. When I'm not ringing you, I'm straight on the phone to Ash, who's my AI sort of coach. I typed in, just out of interest, what are, comparative sort of what's a good wage and bad wage. What does a package look like in lawn care world? I'm in the East Midlands, so I did East and West Midlands and nationally. And actually what came out of that is that even before I put an on-target earnings package in, by the time we've done our benefits, so we do private health, we do bonus days, so if an employer works with us for a year, they get an extra day's holiday, and that goes up to 5 days, and all those sort of things matter really. And when you put all that together, even before doing the on-target earnings bit, we were deemed as competitive. The addition of a sort of a bonus, which is a team we can do, because it's all about, there's no I in team, is there? Then we're not far.
I can't say it on a podcast.
We're in the right ballpark. So what I can't help is there's people that will always move on. That was probably my next thing, is what do the customers think, or what do the potential employees look at? Because we recruited at Christmas because Chris retired, and now it's March and we're recruiting again. If anybody's sort of looking at us as a potential employer on like Indeed or something, what are they gonna think? And I've probably got to move on from that and not worry about it. But what I have done is, again, I've looked at the advert and chosen some new words carefully in terms of how we phrase that.
Okay.
Does that answer the listener's question, or or I just ranted on?
No. I think the listener question is what are our thoughts on staff wages, and I was just going to add to that. I think that wages are one part of the package, which is what you've alluded to, John. But I think there's a whole lot more to managing teams well, and money is just one part of it. And I think how you treat people day to day is going to have a bigger impact on whether they stick around or whether they leave. And that's not, you've got no control over that anyway. Yeah. But also you need to give them a safe working environment, and I don't just mean physically safe, I mean mentally safe. How good is it if you could turn up to work being the authentic self that you are, and without fear of reprisal?
Yeah.
That's a key one. I think also challenging people, creating opportunity, giving them direction, education. It's almost, I don't know whether this sounds a bit weird, but it's almost like bringing up a family. It's like you're bringing up, certainly for my business feels like a family, and I certainly feel a responsibility to our team, and I want them to excel. I've said this a number of times now. On our journey of which we're on a bus or a train, as long as they get off better people than they got on, if it's in 3 months, 6 months, 6 years, 12 years, it doesn't matter. And I think that's the way you should look at it, because I think if you look at it just as am I paying the right money? If you pay £1,000 more than anyone else is paying, does that mean you're going to get better people? No.
Yes, yeah. And also I think you've made some really good points there, Martin. I'll try and reinforce those. So our colleague who's leaving in November, he says, what I love about this job is I don't have scary Sundays anymore.
Yeah.
You know, where Monday spoilt Sunday. And you know, what he also talked about is, you know, I can get up at, you know, I don't have to be in until 8:30 because we start at that sort of time.
Because you're part-timers.
Because we're all part-timers, yeah, as you know. And you know, we don't travel more than sort of 10 miles, but we do. But generally, we don't.
Not
we're
in
very,
any 1 week, anyway.
We're very local. And actually, the world I think he's going to step it back into is the world where he's on the road at 7. He doesn't know what time he's going to get back in. It's very much overtime driven of a Saturday, and to get that money. And I'm just thinking he doesn't have to do a Saturday working with us, but he's not got the money. And what I don't know is what his, you know, personal sort of circumstances are to chase that money. So I think you're quite right, that it's not that the package isn't just what gets paid into the bank. It's the whole. It's the whole thing,
and your culture as well. It's everything in business. And I think the only thing I would add to that is if you're, I mean, we have a pay review every February. There have been occasions where only once.
Is this a serious one? Hold on to that, Martin. Is this a pay review where things can go down and you've only moved people down once or twice, or
No, that's never happened. No, what I was going to say is only I think only one occasion has someone come to us and asked for a pay rise.
Yeah,
I think maybe twice. I think it's really important to offer the pay rise before someone has to come to you. Because that's showing that you're seeing what they're doing and seeing value in what they're doing, and I personally think that's really important as well. I'm sure that maybe someone's thought about it before and maybe not said it, or you know, I'm not professing to be all seeing and all knowing, but certainly if I can, that's what I try and do.
Yeah. So. Right, Martin. I don't know how long we've been chatting now. It's probably a good half hour, isn't it? And I've just seen the time.
Do you want to get off, Dijon?
Well, we have some visitors this week. We have we have a couple of really nice gentlemen. We helped. Sounds a bit dodgy, doesn't it? So
I love this story.
Our neighbour friend runs a business where they organise hosting for French children coming across the UK, and they do a little bit of a tour, and they couldn't do it, so they asked Kate and myself would we help out. So I was expecting like a 2 or 3 sort of lads sort of rocking up, or maybe some girls. Anyway, we've got the coach drivers, and they're brilliant. they're absolutely lovely. One can hardly speak any English. Either that, or he's decided not to speak to me. But
he might have been pre-warned about your spreadsheets.
So I've got to go and run those down to the local car park where their buses are to get their bus engines sort of revved up. So what an exciting life I lead! But it's been really nice actually.
Good. Can without wanting to sort of bring things back to business too much, can I just make one last point on the wages thing?
Yeah.
Well, there's two actually. It's the true cost of a team or of wages. It's obviously not just the gross amount that goes out to the team member, but it's also, you know, you're paying your NI, PAYE, holiday, downtime, sick. So there's a big cost in there that you ought to always look at properly, but also look at the other side of the coin and look at the opportunity cost. So what if that team member wasn't happy and wasn't being remunerated properly, and all the other bits weren't fitting in place? What's the cost of having to replace them? the downtime while they're gone, the recruitment costs, the time in that, factor that in to the team members' wages while they're here. Why not? I mean, it's much better to keep them and have a trained, happy individual than it is to scrimp and save on £1,000 a year and then have all the hiccups and the worry of trying to find someone to replace them and train them.
And I think that's a good point. And on our journey to 1 million, part of that is having a training plan in there for the people, and I think part of that is for us to be the checkers, isn't it? That's what I'm learning at the moment. My job is not so much of the doing; it's more of the sort of the checking that things have been done.
Yeah.
Did we talk about that last week, or did you? I know a little bit. Yeah. So it was a great.
What gets checked gets done.
Done. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you for allowing me that little extra there, John. And I don't want to keep you from your coach drivers.
Well, no, because I can't be in trouble.
So, without further ado, we'll wrap things up, and I just want to say goodbye from me, goodbye from John. This is Two Ordinary Blokes in Business and our journey to 1 million. Do share, like, subscribe, and any questions are always gratefully received.
Or photographs. We enjoyed the photographs.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.